History Month. And in observance of Black History Month, we don't have many youth, but the few that we do have, we decided to do something different with them. And each Sunday at this time, we're going to take out, and 2 to 3 of our youth are going to talk about someone other than Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Nelson Mandela, the normal people who always get the spotlight. That's not taken away from anything that they have done in our history, but we just want to focus on some of the people who don't get as much spotlight as they do. So on this Sunday, we have Brother Josiah Friends, and we have Sister Alonza Davidson, and they're going to come to you and they're going to present the 2 people that they have for Black History Month.
For Black History Month, I chose Jane Bolin and Constance Baker-Motley. For Black History Month, I chose Jane Bolin and Constance Baker-Motley because
Constance said, talk louder, he can't hear you.
She chose Jane Bolin and Constance Baker-Motley.
Because they are pioneers for African American women in the judicial system. Jane Matilda Bolin was the first African American woman to graduate from Yale Law School. She was the first to join the New York City Bar Association, the first to join the New York City Law Department, and the first Black woman to serve as a judge in the United States. Jane Bolin graduated high school at 16 years old and enrolled as one of only 2 Black freshmen at Wesley College in Massachusetts. In 1928, she graduated from Wesley in the top 20 of her class and enrolled into Yale Law School. She was one of only 3 women to be accepted at the time, and only woman of color. Her career advisor in college tried to discourage her from applying to Yale due to her race and gender, but Jane was determined. She didn't let anyone tell her what she couldn't do. Although there was little opportunity for women in law and absolutely none for a colored one, she was persistent. Despite the racism that existed and all the trials that she endured, she stayed strong. Jane graduated from Yale in 1932, passed the New York State Senate bar examination, and became an attorney. On July 22nd, 1939, at the age of 31 years old, she was appointed as a judge of the Domestic Relations Court, now known as Family Court. She became the first Black woman judge in the country and remained the only one for 20 years. Jane Bolin was an activist for children's rights and education and a legal advisor to the National Council of Negro Women. She fought against racial discrimination with the judicial system. Jane Bolin retired as a judge in 1979 at 70 years old after serving for 40 years. Constance Baker-Motley was the first African-American woman to be elected to the New York State Senate and the first to serve as a federal judge. When Jane Bolin retired, Constance called her a role model. She acknowledged that Jane paved the way for her and other Black women who wanted to pursue a career in law. After graduating, Constance could not afford to go straight to college. She began working as a maid for a short while until she found an opportunity to work with the National Youth Administration. She was 18 years old. One night she gave a speech at an African American social organization that was focused on the need for Black members to be given greater control over the facility's operation. That speech gained the attention of a man who had built the center, Clarence Blakesley. He was a wealthy contractor and philanthropist. Although he was not a man of color, he was so impressed with Constance's speech that he offered to pay for a college education. Wow. She was forever grateful for Mr. Blakesley's generosity. At 18 years old, Constance began her college career at Fisk University in 1941. In 1943, she transferred to New York University and received her bachelor's degree in economics. She was accepted into Columbia Law School in 1944 and became the first Black woman to attend there. While at Columbia, she worked as a law clerk with Thurgood Marshall, who was the chief counsel for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People Legal Defense Fund. She obtained her degree in 1946 and became an attorney. Molly's work with the NAACP will bring her many high-profile cases, often involving school desegregation. In 1964, she entered politics and became the first woman to be elected into New York State Senate. 2 years later, in 1966, President Lyndon B. Johnson appointed her to the United States District Court, making her the first African-American woman federal court judge. Molly stated, "As the first Black and first woman, I am proving that in everything I do, that Blacks and women are as capable as anyone." Jane Bolin and Constance Baker-Motley both have paved the way for women of color, especially in the judicial system and in politics. On January 20th, 2021, I witnessed these women's legacy, continuing with Vice President Kamala Harris became the first female vice president, the first African American, and the first Asian American vice president. Vice President Kamala Harris stated that she was influenced in her own political and law career by Constance Baker-Motley. These women set out to achieve their dreams at young ages. They endured different trials and tribulations during their lives, but they did not quit. They endured different storms and became great and powerful women of color. Their perseverance and dedication has paved the way for young ladies such as myself. I am thankful for these women's display of true Black excellence. My name is Alonza Davidson. I am currently 16 years old. It is my goal that one day I will too be able to be a great asset to others and further contribute to our Black history.
Just spoke it.
It is my goal that one day I will too be able to be a great asset to others and further contribute to our Black history. The Bible tells us in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12, "Do not let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech and conduct and love and faith and purity." I will break generational curses. My peers will break generational curses. We may be young, but our stories are still being written with God, and all things are possible for us.
Don't hurry, Evangelist.
Praise the Lord, saints.
Hallelujah.
I chose Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson was born Jack Roosevelt Robinson on January 31st, 1919. Jackie Robinson was an American professional baseball player who became the first African American to play in Major League Baseball. Jackie Robinson broke the baseball color line when he started at first base for the Brooklyn Dodgers on April 15, 1947. He played a major role in the Civil Rights Movement. He also was the first Black man to be elected to be in the Hall of Fame in 1962. He proudly served as a lieutenant in the U.S. Army. Sadly, Jackie Robinson died at the age of 53 on October 24, 1972. Thank you, Jackie Robinson.
All right.